This episode is brought to you by Hi Smile. The Hi Smile teeth whitening kit is a must in any gentleman's grooming routine. If you're looking for an at-home alternative that doesn't cause any pain or sensitivity and that whitens and brightens your teeth within 10 minutes, then the Hi Smile teeth whitening kit is a must for you. Just to sweeten the deal a little more, they're offering all of our listeners 20% off for a limited time only. Use the code Menswear Style at checkout to receive 20% off Hi Smile today. The website, hismileteeth.com. That's hismileteeth.com. Welcome to another episode of the Menswear Style Podcast. I'm your host, Pete Brooker. On this episode, we'll be talking to creator and founder of Ormonde Jayne, Linda Pilkington. Ormonde Jayne is a perfumery that has been on Old Bond Street in Mayfair for about 18 years now, I think, but it's an international brand. You only have to look at the website to see how many stores and concessions they have. It's incredible. Linda was very gracious with her time. We go into her upbringing, her backstory. We even go off the grass many times and talk about her cats, talk about entrepreneurship, what it takes to get a business off the ground, etc. But it's a very organic conversation. There'll be no editing on this one, so it's warts and all. So ormondejayne.com is the place to go. And if you're in town, be sure to visit Linda on Old Bond Street. You can sit down there, have a glass of lemonade. You'll get a very personal experience, which is really the philosophy of the brand. So thank you, Linda. We'll play that interview in a couple of few. First up, let me tell you about a new addition we have on the site. We have a new member area on Menswear Style. That's menswearstyle.co.uk. Simply click the member area button on the top right of the homepage and you'll be taken to our discounts and loyalty website. This is where you will see exclusive discounts and privileges from hundreds of your favourite high street brands within fashion, lifestyle, beauty and more. We currently have 20% off at New Balance, 15% off at Hawes & Curtis, crikey, that's good, 10% off at TM Lewin, and 50% off at Cornerstone. Wow, I'm going to head there now. You can use these discounts both online and in store, helping you to save over £2,000 per year, so get on that. Elsewhere, we're on the social. Just type in Menswear Style in your smartphone there and we'll come up. Also, if you want to get in touch with the show, maybe you want to be a guest and talk about your brand, that is info@menswearstyle.co.uk. Okay, here is that interview with Linda Pilkington, creator and founder of Ormonde Jayne. It's my great pleasure to introduce creator and founder Linda Pilkington of Ormonde Jayne to the podcast. How are we doing today, Linda?
I'm really well, thank you very much. How about you?
Oh, I'm excellent. A little bit under the weather, but who cares about me? That's not about me. Linda, thanks so much for taking time out to speak to us today.
It's my pleasure.
What I'd really like for you to do is just give us a thumbnail sketch of your story and tell us a bit about yourself, where you grew up, where you studied, etc., and how Ormonde Jayne came to be.
Well, I'm from Cheshire. My parents lived in the middle of nowhere, no cinemas or shops. We had one post office, 2 pubs and a church. So we had to entertain ourselves, and that's when I really got into craftsmanship. So most birthdays or Christmases, I used to get a great big sort of craft work set of, how to make scented candles, how to grow plants, how to make chocolates. And I was rather fond of it. I was quite good at it. And ultimately, I used to think to myself, well, I've got all these lovely things I've made. What am I going to do with them all? So I suppose there was a bit of an entrepreneurial streak in me, and I was very keen on selling them. My sisters used to make things too, but I don't think they were as nice as mine. So I used to go out and knock on the vicar's door and ask me if he wanted to buy my scented candles or whatever I'd made that weekend. Nice. So that started off my passion for craftsmanship. Later on, I went abroad and I was traveling for a number of years. And again, my entrepreneurial bit of me kicked in. I had an ice cream parlor in South America.
Wow.
And I also was living on a ranch and I was growing soya. So I've always, tried my hand at things. When I see something, I think, I can do that. So I'm quite positive and quite confident within myself. And then, of course, when I got back to England, obviously I had to get a proper job. And so I started working with an agrochemical company. And so that went on for a couple of years. And then while I was working at this place, I bumped into an old friend from my childhood, and he remembered me. He was now working for Chanel, and he said, "Oh, I remember everything. It would be so nice if you could make a scented candle for my boutique. I'm allowed to burn candles because he was the fine jewelry of Chanel."
Right.
And that's how it all started. So that's how Ormonde Jayne was born. So I started doing that in my spare time at night time, and I was very keen to create something from them. And I went to the craft shop, and I spent about £800 actually investing into something that would, cut a dash.
Wow.
And ultimately they did accept it. They liked it. They liked the smell. The color had to be the shade of Coco Chanel's Chinese screens in her Parisian apartment at the Ritz. And so the brief was quite particular, which was good because it focused the mind. And then ultimately they ordered 50. So that was it. So I had my first order. I was still working part-time. And then slowly but surely I asked if I could go part-time, which they agreed to, as long as I could do as much work in 8 hours in 4 hours, which I did. And then in the afternoons I was working on my project. And at the time, it didn't really have a name, but Chanel said to me, if you're going to write an invoice, you've got to register a company.
Right.
So I said to my husband, I can't call it Linda Pilkington. What a boring name.
Oh.
So he said, well, you're Linda Jayne and you live at Ormonde Terrace, so call it Ormonde Jayne or Jayne Ormonde. So there you go. That took all of 2 minutes.
Thank you.
And yeah, that was it. So then Ormonde Jayne was born. I wrote my first invoice, and it went on from there, really. Then I got my second commission, and I got my third commission. Then I did a trade show. Then I won first prize. And I said to my husband, I really believe I can make a business from this. I'm quite confident. So, and then I took a little shop in Old Bond Street, which I'm still in today. I've been here for 18 years. And, and now we sell all over the world. We've got 200 points of sales, and it's all got rather serious. So, now, we've got something that's really quite dynamic on our hands.
Yeah, certainly. I mean, when I went onto the website, I was wondering how many stores you had. And then it just opened up this entire rabbit's hole of different concessions all over Dubai. Obviously, you're already in the UK with Selfridges and Harrods. And, it's a real global
and I'm not even sure it's quite up to date. I mean, it could probably do with an extra 10 points or 15 points added to it. But yeah, so we're very well respected for what we do. We've got a good reputation because we use a very high quantity of oils in the perfume. So we don't do eau de toilette. Everything is poured at 25, 30, up to 45%, if we're allowed to, because we have rules and regulations. So everything's a parfum or an extract or an eau de parfum. We make everything in-house, so I have massive studios in Kent, and we do everything from scratch. So we make the perfume, filter, bottle, package, and off it goes round the world to all our beautiful clients. And then I travel a lot, and I go off to these points of sales and explain about the perfumes, the philosophy behind it, why we made it, train their staff, usually have a little soiree in the evening to meet their clients. So we're very personable with our clients and the people we work with. So even though it sounds like we've got 200 retailers, we've got a very close relationship with them all.
Yes.
And we stay in touch, and we're always ready to support and help at any level.
Yes.
So it's working quite well, actually.
And Linda, you did all this. Now, don't let me put any words in your mouth, but you did all this from the ground up, and it didn't sound like there was a massive sit-down meeting, a huge business plan. This is what we're going to do for 5 years. These are the forecasts. There sounded like there was some real hustle at the beginning and a real belief in the brand.
Yeah, absolutely right. Every year when I say to myself, I must actually have some sort of meeting or sit down, and it never happens. So when I took the shop, I saw the shop to let, and I just thought, oh, what a beautiful little retail shop, great address, Old Bond Street, London, Mayfair. And literally I just did my mathematics on the back of an envelope there and then and just worked out, okay, what's the rent, what's the service charge, what's the business rates, how much do I need to sell per day? I'll run it so I don't have a wages for the first few years. And I just did it, and then I just thought, okay, I've got to sell 8 items a day to go even. I can do that. I'll take it. And that was that. So
I love this story.
I do fly by the seat of my pants, I have to say, but it seems to work. It's fine.
Well, I mean, I've speaking personally, I've tried to get a few projects off the ground, and this one project I'm doing right now, I've had some advice about market research, going out there, and a friend of mine has said, you've got now to do a blanket page of 250 restaurants where you go out and interview each of the owners and find out exactly what it is that they need. And I just thought, I'm just ready now, and I know I should be going out and doing my due diligence, but I reckon in a year's time, when I've got all of these facts and stats back, the whole landscape could have changed within my industry.
And it'll probably put you off once
Exactly.
you hear it all, because once you do your due diligence and you listen to everybody's opinion and all their stories and all the ups and downs and what can go wrong, you'll probably think, I've changed my mind.
Yeah, and I think
it's probably not that not a good thing necessarily.
I think you sound very, very headstrong in this area, that if you see something, you need to go for it and you need to action it rather than just go, let's all sit down and research this for a couple of years and then pull the trigger on it. But
well, exactly. I mean, like even my father said, well, why the name Ormonde Jayne? I mean, what made you come up with that name, and who advised that? And, you'd say, well, I was cooking dinner with my husband, and by the time the dinner was finished, we had the name.
Yeah.
So I think if you've got a natural instinct and something feels right, I mean, I haven't got the same attitude to all aspects of life. Mm-hmm. I've got the attitude for things that I know and love. So I can dive in, and I've been asked to talk at different events. But if they give me a subject that I'm not familiar with, that I do have to do lots of due diligence and research, then usually my speech is quite not just boring, but it sounds very strained. Whereas if people ask me to go somewhere to give a speech and it's about something I know and love, I just make bullet points, and I don't have any paperwork or anything. I just stand there and off I go. Nice. So I think in your case, if it's something you love and know, and then I think you can just follow your instinct.
That's it.
Whereas, if it's something you're not sure about, then I would, personally, when it's something I'm not sure about, I run a mile.
Yeah, well, that's it. You've made my mind up for me, Linda. I'm just going to launch the website tomorrow and invite everyone to come and see it.
You're welcome.
Thank you. And if it all goes down the toilet, I'll blame you. But I digress. Linda, could you tell us a little bit about some of the fragrances, in particular the Ormonde Man, which was the very first fine fragrance to introduce oud? So I've literally just come back from Dubai. I had a whole buffet of oud, as it were, kind of fragrance smelling, and it is a very, very strong smell. It's a naturally strong scent. So can you just give us a bit of a backdrop? What inspired you to put that in?
Yes, well, actually, when the first time I smelled it, which was about 19 years ago, I just thought it was absolutely frightful, and I just thought, oh my God, this bloody stinks. Who the hell wants to wear this? And then the whole philosophy of Ormonde Jayne is to look for ingredients not widely used in the perfume industry. So I used to go off on these long trips with the hope to come back with groundbreaking ingredients that nobody else was using. And when I came across the oud at that point was only ever used in an attar, so like the pure oud, or they would mix it with a taif rose, which is a rose from that neck of the woods. Otherwise, it was never made into a fine fragrance, i.e. a fine fragrance is what you and I wear out of a spray that has maybe 20, 30, 40 ingredients. So I had the idea to put the oud into a fine fragrance along other ingredients. As it turned out, it was a smash hit, big time. People were literally at the door. I was going at night time to my studio to make the perfume. In the morning, I was filtering it. I mean, normally I like to keep my perfumes to mature 6 to 8 weeks. And then I'd bring it to the shop, and anybody, as soon as the shop opened, they'd say, how many bottles have you got? I'd go, 32. And they'd say, I'd take 32. So it was great for me. It wasn't like something I'd planned. But everybody was very interested in the oud then. And about 6 months after that, then Yves Saint Laurent launched the second perfume with oud, which was M7, which also went down very well. And now oud's a confirmed category. Everybody uses it. Nearly every fragrance house in the world has an oud perfume. So I'm quite proud of that fact. of introducing it into the fine fragrance world. But that was all part of the philosophy anyway, so it's something I had to do. But nowadays, so Ormonde Woman, Ormonde Man, these are our signature scents. They're also made with hemlock. Nobody else has a perfume in the world made from hemlock. So the idea is somebody comes into an Ormonde Jayne boutique and they say, oh, I like woody scent, sandalwood, cedarwood. We'd say, well, we have hemlock. So it's all about giving them something different, but also it has to smell really great at the same time, which all worked out very well. But the rest of the perfumes, we like to consider them gender-free. And this was something from an experience about 15 years ago with a gentleman in the shop. He was wearing San Paquita, very floral, freesias and jasmines, and he put it on and he said that he loved it and wanted to buy a bottle. And I was a bit confused, thinking it's so feminine and it smells so floral, but I just thought I can't say this to this gentleman because it would be rude, and it's not my job to make him feel uncomfortable. So I sold him the San Paquita, and then about a month after that, the same experience happened in one of the department stores. A gentleman phoned me and said, I bought the Taif Rose from your stand in Harrods, and when I got home and I was researching your company, I went online, it says that it's a feminine perfume. So I just realized that I'm doing something wrong here, and I said, I apologize. I said, if you want to take it back, but if you like it and you like the way it smells, and what the hell does it matter? And I said, but I'm going to take your lead here, and I'm going to change my website because I think they should all be unisex. But I didn't really like the word unisex because I thought that sounds so 1970s, Vidal Sassoon. So I was thinking, so I said to my husband, we've got to come up with something that is unisex, that doesn't sound so daft. And then, a couple of drinks round the table. So we came up with the term gender-free. So I changed my website that week. So this is like 2008 or 2000, something around there, and maybe 2007. And I told the guys that they've got to take off all the masculines and feminines, except for Ormonde Woman and Ormonde Man, and just keep it all gender-free, which is now very in keeping with today's world.
In today's world, but back then, I mean, I don't know what the climate was back then, but I get the feeling that now it's kind of universally accepted, the word gender-free.
Definitely.
You banned that about
completely.
no one bats an eyelid. But back then,
No.
how much of a game changer was it for you back then?
It was a great game changer. Again, it was one of those moments where you're trying to fix a problem. You don't want your clients to be upset. You want them to be happy. And so you change something, and then it's great because your sales go up, because gentlemen come into the shop, and because all the perfumes are gender-free, you're actually selling more. So
Nice.
it was actually a win-win for me, but not deliberately so. Just that's how it turned out. So every person that came into the shop, it was a case of like they're for both. You just smell them. If you like it, you like it. We're not going to pigeonhole into a gender.
Yeah.
And that went down very well, actually. So with all walks of life, I mean, we're in Mayfair. So, of course, and of course, London is very diverse. You've got all sorts of people, Italians, Arabs, Uzbekistan, and, you tell them that they completely get it and understand it, then they don't ask for what the hell you're talking about. So it's good.
Yeah. And I guess, well, I'm just going to shoot it straight, if you don't mind, Linda. From a guy's point of view, I think we like to have things indexed so that we can just process it. So, like 60s fashion, we know what 60s fashion is. 70s, more androgynous flares. As a guy, we just kind of like to pigeonhole, and that way we can know, well, that's what that is, so I know what I'm getting now. And if it's labelled with women's perfume, it doesn't really matter if I really like it. It doesn't matter if it makes me smell and feel really good, because it's got the different tag on it. It kind of messes with my flow, so to speak. It's like if you see someone in the queue ahead of you wearing pajamas, you go, well, I'd actually don't mind the look. It looks quite cool, but it's so jarring because pajamas are very personal. It's for your private time. It shouldn't be in this category of me looking at you in the bakery waiting for your Danish. So opening up the playing field and just not giving it a tag entirely is something that you did back then, which feels like everyone should have been doing in the first place.
Well, it was just a response. When you've got an irate customer, and you want to fix the problem straight away, and that really was all about, really, nothing more. But it, obviously, was in keeping with the way the world was going, which is a good thing.
Yes.
And but if a gentleman phones up and says, "I want some, what scents have you got for gentlemen?" then we will automatically say, "Okay, all the scents are for both genders. However, if you want something quite masculine," and then of course we will send them down the road of Ormonde Tobacco Intensivo, or Cézanne, or Ormonde Man, or Ispakand, which is like a cologne. So we will go down that road if it's a request, like something for men. But at the same time, if we're sending out the bottle, we might send some samples with it of other perfumes that aren't that masculine. So we send you some other perfumes for you to try to see if you like those too, and then maybe a month later we'll say, "Did you try the samples?" And he'll say, "Yes, I actually like this one, and it's called this." And it's more floral. So the thing is you don't have to say oud is for men. Florals are also for men. Anything goes now.
And out of interest, Linda, what would you say is the best black tie fragrance for men? What kind of notes? I have a discussion with a couple of friends all the time as to what is a really good black tie fragrance.
I'd say definitely Ormonde Man. Mon Tobacco Intensivo is our bestseller. It's very, very sexy. It's like you've got all the tobacco leaf and amber and leather, so you get the picture. It's great. And women absolutely love it, and men absolutely love it. But for a sophisticated a black tie, I would go for Ormonde Man, because you've got the hemlock, the cedarwood, and the oud. It's very well made. It cuts a dash, and it's a bit abstract, sophisticated. Nice. Whereas the Mon Tobacco is obviously sensual.
Yes, and do you ever get, because your kind of trajectory is just going one way, do you ever get now offers for collaborations, different companies coming in and saying, let's have a meeting of the minds and release a scent between us?
Yes, we've done that quite a few times. Well, it's not quite the same thing. They might come to us and say, "We'd like a scent with our name on it."
Yes.
So we say, "Okay," or we'd like a scented candle in keeping with our philosophy of our hotel. So that's a collaboration. So we're in the in Singapore, Raffles. They've just relaunched.
Oh, well, they have, haven't
Raffles,
they?
Yeah, and it's beautiful. So we're in all the bathrooms, and I wrote to the purchasing manager last week, and I said to him, "Would you like to think about having like a Singapore sling?" Because that's where that cocktail was invented at Raffles.
Yeah, I was
a
there
Singapore
last month.
sling candle for 2024 to give to your clients at Christmas time.
Amazing.
So he was like, "Wow, yes, great. Send me samples.
Yeah.
Wonderful." But I was thinking, I don't actually know what a Singapore sling tastes like, so I'm gonna
it tastes
drink
expensive.
one first.
It tastes expensive, I can tell you that.
Does it?
I haven't drunk alcohol for a couple of years, so I had the Virgin Singapore sling, and the whole idea was that you have it and then you crack the nuts and bung the nuts on the floor, etc. So yeah, you can definitely do a concoction of that, and then perhaps have some of the nutshells that will go with it.
So what's a Virgin? What's Singapore sling made from? Is it gin, or what is it made from?
That's a great question. I didn't actually look. I did the touristy thing and just ordered one for the girlfriend.
Yeah. Well, actually, I'm on dry January. It's killing me. But I admire you not drinking for 2 years. I do dry January, and then I do dry September after my summer holidays.
Nice.
And then I always vow to cut back on my drinking when I come off my dry January, but I get back into old habits within about a week.
Yeah. Oh, drinking's fun. Drinking's good. You don't need to give that up. No. I do enjoy it, but it's at Christmas time and on summer holidays, I do sort of go for it a bit more than one should. Yes.
But never mind.
Well, the just recently the James Bond commercial for the Heineken 00's come out. So now a whole new lease of men have gone, it's okay to not drink anymore. Yeah, they've appealed to a mass different market.
My husband drinks non-alcoholic beer. I'm not sure which one he drinks, but he's trying to do that midweek. So when he gets in from work, and I have a gin and tonic without the gin, so I just go slimline tonic, and then I put in 2 pink peppers because it looks pretty, and because they have nice rosé colour, and then I put in 3 juniper berries because gin's made from juniper berry, and then I put a sprig of rosemary, and it looks very fetching, and I drink that with ice and a slice of lime.
It all looks very good. I mean, when I was perusing your website and just going down a few times, it's a great website, by the way.
Thank you.
If you got about an hour to waste and just find yourself, you can get lost in your website, because I went into different lifestyle elements, different cocktail recipes. So it's all on there. I do recommend that.
Yeah.
Which, by the way.
Actually, this Friday I'm going to do like a bit of an alcohol-free drinks possibilities that might hit the spot, and an aromatic soup. So,
nice. Because
we're all trying to lose weight in January, so we can all have aromatic soup at night time.
Yeah, no, I'll look out for that. That's fantastic.
Yeah.
Linda, could you give us, where can people find you if they want to get in touch? So Old Bond Street.
So I'm in Mayfair. I'm in 28 Old Bond Street in the Royal Arcade. And I'm also in Selfridges, London, Harrods, London, Fortnum Masons in London. In Manchester, I'm in Selfridges. In Birmingham, Selfridges. We've got this very cute little boutique in Knutsford called Pop, which is a wonderful little boutique. We supply them. And I think that's about it in the UK. And then, of course, we're online. Yeah.
Excellent.
We're quite a small... we're small but big. In the grand scheme of things, to have 200 points of sales is considered small. But for me, I don't think I would ever consider more than 400 in the whole world, because I want to have a relationship with all the retailers, and I want to train the staff so they understand the philosophy. So you can't do that if you've got several thousand all over the world. Well, you can, but you'd have to have teams of people going out. But I prefer the personal touch. So sometimes I go on the road, and I start off in Milan, and I go to Brescia, and then I go to Vicenza, then to Verona. So I do a new town each day in Italy.
Nice.
And it's very pleasant. It's very nice. The trains are nice, have some nice pasta, and then I buy the local pasta in each village. And then I always ask the local ladies how you cook it and what's the sauce, and they write it down. And then on a Saturday, we cook that pasta from that village for the children. And it's all good fun.
Well, you and my girlfriend would just hit it off with that kind of talk. Whereas I would just be eating the pasta blissfully unaware of how it got on my plate. I think I've already proved myself with the Singapore sling talk. So.
How many cats have you got?
So we've got 2 blue Russian cats and a newly acquired cockapoo, who is who's getting beaten about pillar to post by the matriarch cat.
I was going to say, wow. So I've got 2 mongrel cats. I've got Teddy and Freddie, 2 brothers from the cat home that keep all the nature at bay in my house, and they're fantastic.
Oh, yeah.
They're lovely, yeah. They're great, pretty cats. A little bit overweight at the moment, but never mind, it's their winter coat.
Well, they need to do dry January as well, right? So they need to
they should.
Cut out the Bloody
Marys.
Marys.
One of them, actually. It's the ginger one. He's so greedy.
Yeah.
He eats everything in sight, so...
We have that same problem. One of them's quite overweight, the other is deeply emaciated, so we have to feed them separately. Do you have Instagram accounts for your cats? Because my girlfriend likes to do that with her cats.
No, to be perfectly honest, my goddaughter does our Instagram for Ormonde Jayne, and she's more up to date than me. She's like 28, and she's got her finger on the pulse, and I say, what about this? She goes, no, nobody does that.
Come on, that's so old hat.
So I think I'm behind on the times. So
well,
I don't have Facebook. I mean, I've never even seen Facebook in my life. Can you believe that?
Wow.
I've never been on Facebook. My dad's been on Facebook, and he's 95.
That's
but
fantastic.
I've never been on Facebook or Instagram or any of that. But my goddaughter shows it all to me and shows me. I give her the copy, and then she sorts it out, and then she says, that's good, that's rubbish, that's good, nobody's interested in that. And then she posts it, and it always looks lovely.
That's fascinating. I mean, that is very unique in today's climate as well. Digital marketing, getting your name out, etc.
Yes,
you're too cool for it, though, Linda. You're too cool for it. That's what it is.
I'd like to think so.
So people can find you ormondejayne.com online and Old Bond Street. If you're in town, do drop in.
Yes.
The store is beautiful. I've been going around online looking at the various pictures, and when I'm next in town, I'll certainly drop in and pay a visit.
Well, if anybody wants to have a perfume portrait, they could just phone up the boutique and say, I'd like to come in, and then they can sit down, have a glass of champagne, and then they can learn about all the perfumes and relax, and, you can have more of a consultation. It doesn't cost anything.
Yeah.
You just come in and learn about perfumes.
Yeah, and have an experience. That sounds fantastic.
Yeah.
Linda, thanks so much for your time.
Oh, thank you, Peter. It's a pleasure to talk to you.
Yes, and best of luck getting the cats in order.
And best of luck with your business adventure.
Oh, thank you.
You make sure it happens. I'm going to ask you on December the 31st.
Your email will be first on the newsletter.
Excellent. Thanks a lot.
Okay, thank you. Take care.
Thank you. Bye-bye.
Bye-bye. Linda Pilkington there. What a sweetheart. And just nice, grounded, humble, some aspirational qualities there I think we can all take on board. So, lovely talking to you, Linda. I will certainly drop by next time I'm in town, sample some oud. If it's good enough for Brian Ferry, it's good enough for me, as my granddad would always say. So, again, thank you, Linda. Thank you, the listener, for making it this far, crikey. You can check out the show notes over at menswearstyle.co.uk. And until next time, remember, it's only fashion, people, and you're never fully dressed without a smile.